What's up, guys? Welcome back to Two Dudes Talking. Today, we're going to be sharing some of the movies that inspired us. Stay tuned.
Hello, Will.
Hello, Josh.
How are we today?
Doing all right, man. How are you?
I'm feeling inspired.
Oh, yeah.
I saw some movies.
First off, before we get into this, I want to shout out a couple people
Yes, absolutely.
that are like just holding it down
So
for us.
supportive.
Yeah. So a few of these people are my buddy Matt Wilson, Paul Wright,
Wade Pursley for his recommendations.
Wade Pursley. Good God, dude. Like, will seriously bring the heat. Like, he brings the heat, whether I like the heat or not.
All right, whether you want the heat or not.
No, man. Like, you guys are always suggesting stuff. But, like, shout out those guys.
Drew Seitz,
Yeah.
one of my first
Yeah.
contacts after we dropped this, has been very supportive. Appreciate that. Aaron Hartley
Yeah, Aaron. Wow.
and Heath, you guys have been great. We say this almost every episode if we don't, but we really do want to engage with you guys.
Yeah.
Like it is, I know we're talking about things that may seem non-important to a lot of people.
Yep.
But obviously they are important to some people like us.
Yeah.
And given the world that we have to share, I think it's great that we're all coming together on just such a general platform, just to discuss the things that make us happy and made us who we are. You know, I know, goodness gracious, that's the reason we are here today. So some of the things that have inspired us, I think, vary from time to time, different points in our lives. You know, it could be in any different number of ways, and we'll get into that. I have some things that were just so big for me that aren't going to matter at all to Will or any of you guys.
True.
But this is our show.
And likewise. I want to shout out one more person.
Yeah.
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, great.
Jeremiah Park, dude. Like, little did I know 13 years ago playing in a band with this dude that, A, you could still be in contact. Because, you know,
Yeah,
like, stuff
times.
happens. Like, how many people from high school are you really in contact with? And then to be listening to the podcast
In Indianapolis,
in
us in
Indianapolis
South Carolina.
and also, like, chasing his own stuff.
Right.
You know, just being a boss. Still recording music.
Still wondering what inspired us.
Yeah.
Like for real, taking their time. That's so again, this has been a fun thing for us, but it really is about you guys. What I would say, and we've had this conversation before, if I could sum it up in a 30-minute or 30-second nutshell, what we are trying to sell here is 30, 45 minutes of engaging time with you guys, regardless of who you are.
Right.
You know, we want to hear, and thank you guys for that
Yeah.
specifically.
Definitely. Thank you. So with that being said, yeah, movies that inspired us or shows.
Or shows.
Yeah. Could be even books too. But I think we picked 3.
Yep.
You know, that way we can give some good time to each of them. But let's start with one of your first ones.
Okay. First one is something I've mentioned before. It was in my our top 5 episode of our top 5 favorite things.
Yeah.
Band of Brothers.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can't speak enough of. I can't speak highly enough of that show. I think it's wonderful to start it off with the real men that went through this. Okay, so let me stop. Band of Brothers, again, for those of you who haven't seen it, is a depiction of a company of soldiers and their involvement in World War II. We could not get far enough into Europe, so that's where the 101st Airborne came in. And this series follows a specific company, which is a 100-person element, and their involvement. These guys were created for that, dropped in, got all separated, came back together, and ended up kicking in the door to Hitler's mountaintop. Chilla Villa, drank all his stuff.
Like some badasses.
Seriously. And I think one of my favorite things about this show that has remained constant over the years is that it starts off with those men and their stories. Like it gives them their time. Like we really do have heroes. Like we talk about movies and stuff all the time, but like we would not be in this place that everybody is very uncomfortable with right now,
Right.
were it not for a lot of sacrifice.
Right.
I saw those old men. So this show came out like 2006 or 7 on HBO, maybe even before that.
Like 2002.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe because I think I was a sophomore in high school. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's old.
It's 10 episodes.
12.
12. Yeah.
12. And
But they're long.
they're about an hour and 15 minutes each. I mean, it's a HBO miniseries. It's specifically about this. It's just the one season. It's phenomenal. But it goes through their time at Camp Toccoa, Georgia, which is where they had the first paratrooper school. As they deploy, they go to, to all the different stops they made, like England before they went into Europe, blah, 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 blah. And then all of their encounters. And what's trippy is, that inspired me. When I was younger, I was like, these guys, and I said this in that top 5 episode. I remember watching those guys and being like, they are crazy,
Yeah.
but I can understand why. And I might could see myself doing something like that one day. That was just a thought as a child, like, a young man. And then, let's see, it would have been around April of 2012. I'd been at Fort Campbell for a couple of months before I got the call taking me to that exact company.
Right.
So, like, fast forward a couple more years, in 2013, I'm in Afghanistan with a Polish documentarian and historian following around me and 99 other dudes, the modern day Band of Brothers.
Right.
That Easy 2506 4th Brigade Combat Team, 101st Airborne Air Assault. It was so big for my later life. And I didn't realize how close to that I would get, being a part of that exact element. But even at a young age, I was like, I admire that. I would aspire that, I would hope that I would leave something behind when I leave. And I did.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
my solid recommendation right there. If you don't know what we've been involved in this country, that's a really good way to take it in 1 hour at a time, because good heavens, we've been through a lot. And I think that just appreciating those guys is huge for me still.
Yeah. I love that series. I actually watched it. What was really cool about it is I had a Sunday school class where the teacher, shout out Rob Moeller.
Hey!
Awesome dude, awesome family. But he was relating these media, like Band of Brothers, other movies and stuff, to how God was working with these people in their lives and stuff.
Yeah.
And like just amazing stuff. So I actually got to watch that series through that
lens. Yeah, that's wild.
which was really cool. And man, those are special dudes.
They really are.
Just special, like winners,
I will at some point. Dylan Sierra, if you happen to see this, your WWDWD tattoo, I'm going to have that at some point.
Yeah.
Just right there. What would Dick Winters do? Like, I know men in my life and women, and thank you all, because I know you know who you are out there, like, that have supported this and me in my time after the service. The bond and the selfless compassion that even some of the scummiest people that I was with, I love my scumbag friends,
Right.
but the amount of selfless sacrifice they were all willing to give was just, it's hard to understand if you haven't been a part of it. But that show really captured it very well.
Yeah.
So if you want to see what somebody else has been through so that you can enjoy this freedom of speech that we're having right now, please check that out. That's mine.
Yeah. I one last thing I'll say about that in relation to that exact comment is, I can't remember if it's in the beginning or the end of the episode, but Dick Winters is talking, the real one, is talking on camera, and you can tell the dude has done things that he is not proud of in those moments. That is huge for me to know that there are people like that for a good cause
Are willing to do things they're not proud of.
Yeah. That also can, like, that dude, I mean, those interviews were filmed when, like, late 90s, 2000, early 2000 for the show.
Right. Early 2000s, probably.
So yeah, 60 years later, how much life that guy has had 60 years later.
Right.
But that's such a promising thing that like you can go and experience those bad things, even partake in them, contribute to them, and still have a full life afterwards. It's great. It's amazing stuff.
It is.
You know, it's like there's forgiveness in it. There's
Acceptance on a
Acceptance
very,
in it.
very individual level.
yeah, it's amazing. It's a great show. Yeah, definitely check it out. And,
Let me shout out Eddie Percy too. Thank
Yeah.
you for your service, dude. Love you.
Yes, shout out Eddie Persley. And they also did a few years later. They did a series called The Pacific,
Yep.
which is dope as well.
Very, very good.
So one of mine, and it was also in my top 5,
Right.
was Lord of the Rings.
I just got really excited.
Yeah. So like so inspired by it because the books and the movies themselves mean so much to me. Growing up with them, the stories are a great escape. The stories are such a good analogy for World War II. You know, just that world effort to fight this great evil,
Right.
to get rid of it. But the documentaries that are on these extended editions,
I was about to
DVDs,
say specifically the ones that are on the extended editions
Yes.
are
Yes.
great.
super nerd status coming up, folks. So bear with me here. But I'm 12, 13, 14 years old when these 3 movies come out.
Pocket protector in hand.
Yeah. Probably didn't even have one of those. I was in 9th grade working at the Clover Auditorium, making like $100 to $200 a month. You know, it's part-time 9th grade work.
Right.
Every dime of my money is going to these little Lord of the Rings figurines that you can paint and do stuff with.
Will is pretending to be the kid in The Patriot with the British soldiers and his diecast bullets.
I'm
He's
just such a nerd, such a nerd. Like some of my best friends in 9th grade were like, "What the hell are you doing?"
right.
And I'm just like, "Just being me." Yeah,
None of your concern, obviously.
yeah, get out of here. But going to those little figurines, but also the movies. I remember buying these movies and watching them, and they're what inspired me to pick up a camera
Right.
from day one.
So, what moment brought you to that? Like, I know you say these videos are.
Yeah.
Was there something in specific, or was it just the process of seeing this creation?
Yeah, the process of it. Like, so in these DVDs, in these documentaries on them, you know, they're Lord of the Rings was groundbreaking in a lot of ways. The graphics were crazy. The budgets were crazy. Filming for 18 months in a row is crazy. You know, but like some of the most amazing stuff, and it was like they have this digital background, or you know, of like a mountainscape,
Right.
you know, but then they built this to scale figurine of a tower that they digitally impose in that same background, and it just looks so real,
So good.
and so good, and it holds up today. Like there's a few
You're
things.
talking about The Hobbit, aren't you?
No, there's a few things that are, you know, it's 19 years old now. The first one is, so
Right.
it's almost, you know, they're almost 20
Is
years
it
old.
really?
Yeah, 2001. So some stuff is not holding up as much, but they still hold up.
Yeah, absolutely.
They developed a software for this movie alone that became a driver in how tons of movies were made. And it was called Massive Animation Software. And what it was is when you were developing CGI characters, say like Gollum in the film, or even
So just as
but these digital characters, like, you know, typical animation would be keyframe animation. Every frame you're drawing a different motion to develop this thing.
right.
Obviously, then when 3D stuff came out, like Gollum, or in future movies, it's still keyframe animation with a digital, like a 3D character,
Right.
3D model, as
With a
opposed
model.
to like a Disney movie, Aladdin,
Right.
or something like that. This massive animation software allowed you to motion capture movements from a guy in a suit
Right.
and then apply that to thousands of on-screen digital characters at one time.
Right.
And so they developed this just for this movie, for the intense battle scenes. But it became the software that movies like Troy,
Right.
Star Wars later on, anything that has like massive crowd shots that you could never film, like
That's where that came
that's
from.
where it came from.
Huh.
Groundbreaking stuff.
That's wonderful.
Like just amazing stuff. And I remember Coastal Carolina University had these camps, like, 3-6 week things where you could go learn the software.
Right.
And Coastal Carolina hosted one back in like 2002 or 3.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go so bad, but I was like 13, 14. And I'm like, as a 12 or 13-year-old kid, I'm like, this is what I want to do with my life. But so like I asked my parents for a video camera for Christmas. Got one. It was awesome.
And that was it.
Made skateboarding videos, made little stupid videos in the woods with my friends and stuff, but it's why we're doing this today.
Right.
Really. I mean, it's really why a lot of things are done, but those movies are so important for, like I said, a lot of people don't even watch them because they're sci-fi fantasy things.
They're nerd.
Yeah, they're nerd. The books are even more nerd, but like they are crucial to how some of the movies that you like today are made and going forward forever.
Right.
And it's dope. So Lord of the Rings.
That's awesome.
Huge inspiration. Yeah.
So my next one isn't necessarily, I wouldn't say it inspired me to do anything personally in my life. What I mean by that, this movie is so inspiring. Like, it made me feel like, one, such a lazy piece of crap. Right. Two, it made me feel like I could put my head down and run through that wall and not stop until I got back home.
Right.
Like, I was caught off guard by this one. It has Simon Pegg. It's called Run Fat Boy Run. So Simon Pegg, Scotty from the new Star Trek series, Shaun of the Dead, Band of Brothers, him
Ready
and
Player
Tom
One.
Hardy. Ready Player One?
Yeah. He's in it. He's the guy.
He is. He's Og, Ogden.
He's the
Ogden Morrow, the partner. That's right. So yeah, he's in.
We really love Ready Player One.
We really do. I mean,
Continue. Simon Pegg's the GOAT, though.
Simon Pegg is great. I would say one of the most natural comedian actors that I've seen since he came out. Like, he is, I mean, you see people all the time that, like Jim Carrey is so extravagant. He's so animated and stuff. Simon Pegg, I bet you would feel very insulted by a conversation with him if you had never met him before. Yeah. He just seems very intelligent, very dry. And this movie in particular, Run Fat Boy Run, synopsis, because this one was kind of off the radar. This guy, and him and Thandie Newton are engaged, and he gets her pregnant and then leaves her at the altar. Like, wow, what a start.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about you, mate. 6 years later, his ex-fiance is about to get married, and issues with custody and whatnot coming up. Like, he has a great relationship based off of Lord of the Rings with his little kid.
Nice.
And it's a very good family movie. So this dude, now in his midlife crisis, has been confronted with the fact that he cannot finish anything. It's a great idealist, but that's all he will ever be if he doesn't figure it out by the end of this movie.
A lot of people are like that.
Yeah. And I mean, to a degree, we are all like that. Mm-hmm. There are things that we would do if we could, but the thing is that you can.
Yeah, if only I blank.
If you would. Right. Yeah. There's, again, let me say that one again. There are any number of things that you could do, but you can do those things. It doesn't have to be a could be. And this movie hammered that in so hard. So something so simple. It's called Run Fat Boy Run. Obviously, there's going to be maybe a little bit of running involved. Right. So this guy decides, of all things, that he wants to finish like a 26K marathon.
Oh my God.
Never mildly overweight. His crappy friends, like not good people, trying to help him prepare for this thing to prove to Thandie Newton, his girl, that he's worthy of being a dad, of finishing the job of a dad.
Right.
And I mean, I love British humor.
Yeah.
I think The Office in America, the American Office, is great. It's one of our best TV shows, or at least it was during its time.
Right.
I wasn't a big fan of the British version until about halfway through the first season of that, and I just like them. They're so much more saucy. But this movie,
Saucy.
they are. But this movie, I'm telling you, I almost threw up during one point of this movie because this guy gets blisters for the first time from running.
Ugh.
And I've being in the military, I've had some hella blisters on my feet.
Right.
My feet have looked like hamburger meat before.
Yummy.
Yeah. And the he gets this terrible blister, and his buddy, I'm trying to think of another movie. I'll come back to it if I can think of another thing this guy's in. Shaun of the Dead, but he was the I think Andrew. He had glasses in Shaun of the Dead. But anyways, his buddy's a solid friend. He's trying to help him out. So they want to lance this blister, and it gets on the guy.
Oh.
And but when they first see it, he's got this blister on his feet, and this thing was so big, so funny. He goes, "Oh, look! I just imagine there's a little person in there that looks just like you," and like I'm just dying at this stuff. And then he gets him, and this guy gets covered on his face, and he goes, "Well, that's never happened to me before." Like, I mean, it's a funny movie. I guess, and it's a very witty movie, but I mean, there is a particular scene that was very, very. If you didn't pay attention the whole time, there is a scene made specifically for that. It doesn't even matter, because there is a brick wall that metaphorically is just demolished, decimated,
Right.
You know, left in piles behind the old crap version of oneself.
Right.
And I mean, I turned that movie off the first time, and I immediately thought about working out.
I might go to the gym now.
I did. I
Maybe.
did eventually. No, I did. It was something that
A couple days later.
It was absolutely. It was, but a couple days later, I still could not stop thinking about how much better I could be doing from a comedy, something I didn't expect that from.
Right.
So that's a very inspirational movie.
That's
If you
dope.
want to lose a few, watch that movie.
Run, Fat Boy, Run.
Run, Fat Boy, Run.
Awesome. Heck yeah. My second one out of this list of three is the Greatest Showman. Shout out Jack Sumner again. He'll love the credit for it. But
He deserves it.
He deserves it, absolutely. I'm sitting in our house, and for 3 weeks, this dude's tried to get me to watch this movie, and
Right.
and it's not like I haven't. I'm like, no, I'm not watching that movie. I was just like, yeah, I'll watch it, but I never got a chance to do it. So one
But
day,
you had no intention.
yeah. So one day we're sitting there in the living room, and he just puts it on. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let's watch it. Damn. So
I've only seen what you've showed me. Of
Yeah.
this. I love musicals, as he does not. I love live action musicals. This guy doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's saying something.
I can appreciate him, but I don't like him.
Right.
And I'll keep this short, but like the music in it is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Like there is no song that's like, this song sucks.
Right.
Like nothing. And the cast is great. It's Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, Michelle Williams, who's amazing. She's so amazing. Several other people. Zendaya is in it.
Right.
Some dope ass people. I wanted to run through a brick wall
Yeah.
after watching this movie because it just teaches you not to give up.
Right.
Along with so many other things. Don't lose your way. Don't forget where you came from. All this stuff that's just like, oh. But there's like just a couple scenes in there, man, that just, I'm watching it the first time and I'm not ugly crying, but I'm like welting up. You know?
Right.
I'm just like, man, this is putting it on me right now. You know what I mean? And like, so I've only watched the movie once.
Right.
And that was probably 3 weeks ago. But I have listened to that music consistently.
Constantly, yeah.
Amazing film. Definitely go check it out. It came out 3 years ago, 2017. Wonderful cast, wonderful story. It's a beautiful movie, shot so good. Like, it's just dope.
It's a good show.
It's the greatest show. This is the greatest show. I haven't been able to sing in like 15 years. So, great movie. That's really all I got to say about it. It's just amazing.
You should sing again, though.
You should try later when you don't suck.
When I am down into my soul so weird.
So we're sitting in the rain.
Oh, see? So, again, right there. What you were just talking about with this one.
Yeah.
We started this episode off with just a thank you and saying how much we appreciate y'all's interaction.
Right.
And at the same time that a lot of this stuff is regarded as entertainment or non-important because it's not something that
Oh, yeah.
touches your life. But clearly that can be the case.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I would not be who I am without having seen some of these things. Like,
Same.
you may not be a Broadway producer at any point in your life,
Mm-hmm.
but moving forward from these things, we are the total package of all these little bits and things that are exposed to us. And
Yep.
and I thank you guys for being a part of this journey with us. I just want to say that again.
Absolutely. So, you're number 3.
Joaquin Phoenix, Joker, Todd Phillips, 2019.
Yeah.
That's not an inspiring movie like Run Fat Boy Run or Band of Brothers. I do not intend on going through that situation myself. We just did an episode about the two Jokers, and I think the reason that I put this one on my list of films or things that inspired me, that was so clear that there is a responsibility to do better to your neighbor. I get a lot of grief, again, being a Christian. Everybody gives, everybody else grief. But one of our things is we're very hypocritical.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that let me go ahead and say that. We all are as humans. We all have our things that we purport to be out there and then what we are on the inside. But the reason I bring that up is everybody takes their own pieces of the Bible and their lives and asks you to interpret it these ways. The most important thing, when somebody that's not a part of that life asks me what's the most important thing about it, the most important commandment of the 10 Commandments was love thy neighbor as thyself. And I see such a lack of that in this world today. Not in a necessary open way. I don't see people with blatant disregard for human life, but there's so little empathy. Mm-hmm. Like if I am not going through your shoes, what you are in your shoes, you can almost expect me to not care to understand where you're coming from.
Right.
And I try to do that so much. I try to do that so hard. But this movie really exemplified the need for that. I'm not going to say that, again, what we said in that episode, you can't condone wrong actions. Like, you can't condone murder, theft, crime, rioting, everything. You can't condone it. It is wrong. But if you could prevent someone else going down those roads and making those mistakes, would you not choose to do so?
Yeah.
And that movie just drove that home in humorous ways, in self-reflective ways. It put the responsibility of what happened in that movie on everybody that was in that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is it. Like, yes, I may not be the person that goes down the street and holds up a bank and kills people. I may not be that dude. I'm not that dude. Mm-hmm. But if I can't be a decent enough human to other people that are different than myself or are the exact same, then I'm absolutely contributing to the problem. And if you walked out of Joker because that made you uncomfortable, I would advise you to go back and watch it again. I know a lot of people, that was, again, a big report. I'm not going to say you're wrong for that in the slightest. But I would say watch it again because it may have touched on something for you. We could do better to our fellow people. And
yeah.
And I think that's it was a wonderfully crafted message of that. So that's my 3.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree that there's things like everyone likes a redemption story. There's nothing greater,
Right.
actually. And everybody actually deserves that
Yeah.
to the point of if they're trying.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Everybody has the chance for it.
Yes.
For sure.
My former boss used to say there used to be a point of no return. And I think that's kind of true
It is to a degree
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's a point where it becomes too late for, like in the Joker's case, like as soon as he shoots Murray on stage, that's when it was too late.
Right.
That's the point.
Right.
Can he be redeemed of that? Yes.
He absolutely could.
Yes. But it's like you're saying, to do better, to be inspired to do better for your neighbor, other people, it is to prevent more of the same happening.
Right.
That's exactly
Like look to the for this specific movie. Look at the things that led to that. The three dudes in the train.
right. Being
Not
douchebags.
Being douchebags to,
Yeah.
to two people they had no idea. What does one do? They try and stand up for the woman in the situation.
Right.
Get their ass kicked, and then they end up shooting people on a train because that's the world we live in.
Right. Yeah.
Or the kids at the start, or the guy that gives him the gun and doesn't, like, there's just any number of things. And again,
Yeah.
I do think that particular individual was very unhealthy, but
Yeah.
in a real situation, if somebody may have given that man a hug, simple as that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's that particular case. You know, you start off, you see the relationship with his mom, so you automatically know that's where it started.
Right.
Like, it does start from a young age. Like, you know, and not every situation is the same. No two are the same.
no.
So therefore, you can't.
Both sides of the coin of every situation are completely different. Yeah.
You're not gonna like pigeonhole them all into one
Right.
thing. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
But
It
there's
does-
no reason we cannot do better.
Yeah.
And right now, we
Especially-
really should.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't mind saying that at all. We can do better, and I hope, if y'all don't hear anything else, that you guys do that tomorrow.
Yeah. Absolutely. With that being said, my third one is the movie Interstellar. Inspirational because of, in the political sphere right now, you've got millions and millions of dollars going to millions of things, you know, especially in the U.S. government. You know, they're spending $980 billion a year on military,
Right.
which is insane. They're spending $1 trillion a year on Social Security, you know, which is, so those two things alone, you have opinions about both,
Right.
you know, and then Medicare, and then there's welfare programs, there's education programs, all these things that you're spending millions and millions of dollars on. So there's obviously going to be a tug of war of where does this money go
Right.
through multiple groups of people. Like we said in the top 5 episode, money that goes to space exploration is not wasted. However, in fact, it's actually like, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson one time said it's not even 1%. Yeah. It's not even 1% of the budget.
Right.
So it's like, it's laughable that people would argue you could spend that money elsewhere.
Right.
It's actually comical because of how much money is spent on other things besides that. You know, so like if you're going to steal money from another program to end homelessness, it's not going to be the NASA budget
Right.
because they're probably already spending more money on homelessness than they are in ways.
Which is funny because in 300 years, we might be homeless on Earth.
Yeah. You know, it's like they, you know, I don't know the numbers on that, but like,
But the point remains.
yeah, there's other programs that are definitely getting more money than NASA.
Right.
But Interstellar is, yeah, there's this, you know, whether it's global warming, this existential threat that's like life may not be possible here one day.
Right.
Because of X amount of reasons. And so, but that movie is inspirational to me because it's like, okay, there's a group of people that are that are against the general populace odds or opinions of them to go still do this thing, find a new home, find a new
Right.
place that humans can be outside of our own solar system, all this stuff.
Or just find what's out there.
Yeah. Or just see what's out there to
Yeah.
learn how to make this place better.
Right.
But so there's the traditional American, like, inspirational, let's go see new worlds, you know.
Right.
There's that inspiration, but the movie is also dealing with time, other dimensions, you know, and it just made me question so much stuff
Right.
on what is possible. You know, if time is this linear thing and from the birth to death, and then that's just your timeline.
Right.
Who knows what you were as energy before?
Or what other forms you are right now. What all is existing
Yeah.
right now.
And then other energy afterwards. But it's like that movie, along with like Arrival, they inspire me to think of like, if I'm experiencing something right now emotionally, is it because of what's really going on in my reality right now, or something in the future, or in the past,
Right.
or something from a higher dimension causing me to experience this that I can't observe with my five senses?
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, no, that's. I feel the same. I have a very similar sentiment to The Matrix. I remember we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Like, after I left that movie, there was no way I could unsee it. And one question that it planted in my brain was, why are you walking around acting like you understand everything?
Yeah. The arrogance of that is laughable.
It is laughable, and I love getting pulled out of that.
Yeah. One thing about space that I love is the loneliness of it. You know, there's this big ass Jupiter out there just floating,
Right.
and he's by himself. He's got the moons,
Right.
you know, but in his solar system neighborhood, he's not alone. But he really is, like, you know, it's just this planet that's just alone.
Until.
And then times that by billions.
Yeah.
You know, and there you go. But like, what I love about Interstellar that's inspiring too is just like, you got two humans, Matthew McConaughey's character, what's his name?
Oh, I don't know, but
And Bran, I can't remember her actor name, but those two characters are out on the edge of this planet. The ship is going haywire, and they've got to lock onto it so they can save it, so they can figure out what to do, either go home or go on to this next planet. But they're the only two humans that have been out there besides the two people that came with them that have already died.
right.
And they're so far away from any other thing in history of humanity. And it's like, that to me was just the coolest thing, that like, humans are really special compared to a lot of other life. Now, we haven't necessarily found what could be better than us,
Right.
you know, as far as what we're capable of. You know, there's obviously each creature has its own unique things and
Right.
it's special. But to see those two humans like that in this fictional setting, of course, but like, that could be possible one day.
Yeah.
You know, the wormhole thing, maybe not. The time travel thing, maybe not. All of these things, you know, do depend on science and physics. That's how the universe is governed through the laws of physics.
I don't like governors.
No, I don't like governors.
I don't like governors.
But no, that movie is inspiring to me because it did make me question just how things are going. But like, you know, the big theme of that movie is love, you know, and how it transcends everything, you know, how it's like even gravity and all this stuff,
Right.
You know, it's important. But,
There were some really, really profound moments in that
Yeah.
movie, though. When, again, the laughing into the crying is with Matthew McConaughey when he's
the tapes,
is just
the recordings. Yeah.
so sad. And when I just
Yeah. When they get back from the, I think it's Miller's Planet. Miller's Planet is the ocean, the waves. And they get back on the ship. And it's like, sorry, Romulus, we've been gone. He's like, I've waited years.
yeah
And Matthew McConaughey is how long? He's like, 27 years, 3 months, and whatever. 27 years.
Right.
This guy's
Like
been,
the scope of that is
yeah.
scary.
It was hours for them.
Mm-hmm.
27 years for that guy on the ship by himself.
Terrible.
And then you go and you watch 27 years worth of recordings that your children sent you that you missed out on.
No, so I was saying very, very profound. The scope of that one. So you talked about Arrival. I think Interstellar smokes Arrival. I
do too.
I had my gripes about that. I loved Arrival. I thought it was great, but I had some gripes with it.
Predictable.
It was very predictable. Way too early. But Interstellar, I think we should be pushing ourselves. I think we should be inspired to continue, because you're talking about humans are very special. We're also very aware of our finite nature. Mm-hmm. That's one of our most unique attributes. And like,
to be conscious of the things that we are is what makes you special.
right. But you see that in every other species, and they are very limited of what they can do with that. So us accepting that and trying to change that, like, I'm going to step outside of this scenario that 99.99999% of people are in right now. I'll see y'all in a couple of hours. 27 years later, he comes back. Like, I like to think of the minds that wrote these stories too. I think it's just really, really impressive.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan and his brother wrote that one. Like, that's incredible to me.
Yep.
It deals with the human nature of people, like that survival. Like, you just are going to survive. You're going to fight
At all cost.
You're going to fight till you die.
Yep.
Whether you really want to or not.
Right.
A lot of times. Amazing movie.
Great movie.
I
That's one of my favorite Matthew McConaughey movies.
Yeah, he does a great job. The whole cast is great.
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway, that's her name.
Oh yeah, she's so cute.
Yeah. She's so cute.
She's so cute.
But I think that's it. Yeah, that's my 3. So, yeah.
That's a
Inspired.
good one.
I feel inspired.
Are you feeling inspired? Are
Yeah.
you guys feeling inspired? Because we're feeling inspired.
One of my favorite things to do, by the way, is like put on one of my favorite movies and just watch it, even if I'm doing something in the background.
Oh yeah,
Because I can feel so good about it.
Right.
It's an escape. It's great. So, what are some of the things, some of the films, some of the shows that you guys are inspired by? What do you like? What do you not like?
Did you aspire to be the next Olivia Newton-John growing up? Let's get physical.
Let's get physical. Physical.
Well, guys, before we digress too bad, thank you again, as always. For real, thank you guys for what you've done for the show. Just, it may not seem like much, but your opinions and your thoughts matter. We have multiple episodes that we're working on right now that we are getting from y'all.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I can't wait for you guys to see those, and please continue to do them. Share away.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time, I guess, on Two Dudes Talking.
Stay classy.